Hi everybody, my name's Brad. I'm an alcoholic. Can we hear okay back there? I'm going to do my best to try to talk in this loudspeaker. As you know, I can't hear, and there's nothing worse than being in a speaker meeting when you can't hear. And I know we have a problem in this room here with the acoustics or whatever. So if I get to mumble it or get way back here, do stand up or do something and let me know that that you can't hear, because that's as someone, like I said, that can't, and I don't have my ears in tonight because I don't want to hear this deal tonight. So my name's Brad. I am an alcoholic. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you. Appreciate the introduction there. Appreciate Karen and the programs. If you're not familiar with our group programs committee, we pick our speakers, some 13, 14 months ahead of time. And she asked me, I've been thinking about this for a long time, I can promise you. This is not one of my favorite things to do in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I know it's gonna do me some good tonight, and I hope I can share something that's gonna maybe help someone out there. What I'm supposed to do is share with you a little bit what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today, and I'm up here to do whatever God gives me the words to share. I know that. What I hope to do is share the struggles that I had getting sober, the things I did wrong, and some of the things I finally started doing right to be given this miracle, this gift of sobriety that I have today. That's what I hope to do. I know there's I know there are people probably out there tonight that are struggling to quit drinking. I know what that's like. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. A lot of you that are members of this home group know how I struggle when I come in these rooms, and I'm just extremely grateful to be standing up here tonight. I texted Steve this morning. I must have really been in a jam, because I only call him or text him when I'm really in a jam. And I said to him, I think I'm coming down. And you have these stickers. With this new stickers when you text, and it had a martini glass and a beer bottle and a wine glass, and I said, I think I'm coming down. I put them in with the flu. Can you fill in for me tonight? Because that's what, if I'd be drinking, there'd be someone else up here tonight. Well, obviously there'd be someone else up here tonight, but I'd have been a no-show with the flu tonight. That's the way it was when I was drinking. I would never have shown up for anything to keep any kind of commitment or any kind of responsibility. So anyway, I won't tell you what he texted back. But a couple things I want to share before I get going here with my story. I never, ever tried to quit drinking before I walked into rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Never one time that I can remember did it cross my mind that I drank too much or that I needed to quit drinking. The reason I say that is I never had any consequences or circumstances due to my drinking. What that means is I never got caught. I just never got caught. I never had any consequences for my drinking. And so when I walked in those rooms, this downstairs, we used to meet downstairs. I walked in October the 1st of the year 2000. I'll never forget, it was a Monday night. That was the first time I had ever thought about doing anything about my drinking, because of the like I said, because of no consequences or circumstances. One thing I remember about that night. I don't remember what was said that night, but I remember as soon as when the clock struck 8, I was scurrying out that back door, and Waylon and Steve grabbed a hold of me. Don't remember what they said. Well, I do remember what Steve said. He appointed me as his sponsor. I remember that. And for some reason, I came back again that following Thursday, and to this day, I'm not sure why, but I'm extremely grateful that I did. I'm extremely grateful that I came back, and I kept coming back, even though I couldn't quit drinking. I came back for a long, long time, like you say, until that miracle happened. So let me start here a little bit. Grew up in a very conservative Mennonite home, very religious home in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Absolutely no alcohol in the home. No one drank in our house. My mom and dad didn't drink. My brother, I'm the youngest of 3 children. there was no. I was never around any alcohol at all growing up. It wasn't a part of my life. Growing up, I was a good athlete. I was the most popular kid in elementary school and through junior high school. I got good grades. I was an A student. I was the most popular kid in school, and something sort of happened there when I was in junior high. When I was in ninth grade. My mom and dad got divorced, and I know today that had a big effect on me. My mother moved out, and I moved with her. We moved into another school district, and I suddenly was not the most popular. I was not the best athlete. I hated school, basically. I hated that school. And the next 3 years of high school were just really, really difficult. I had a lot of anger and hate toward my father, which continued until I got sober for another 30-some years. I carried around that hatred toward him. I didn't connect with him for 30-some years, but maybe once a year, maybe at Christmas time, that was it. But anyway, got through... Don't remember my first drink. I do not remember that. People get up here and say they can remember that first drink. I don't remember the first drink. I remember when I was about 14, 15 years old, guys I used to hang out with, we used to go over to his basement. His mom would buy us a 6-pack of beer, or 2 6-packs, depending on how many of us were there, if we stayed down in the basement all night. And we did that. And that's my first recollection of drinking. Don't remember wolfing that thing down and feeling that magical feeling that some people describe. I don't remember experiencing that. But I remember we did it every chance we could. I remember that. I know we did it whenever we could. I don't remember getting drunk or getting that feeling that a lot of people describe up here at this podium. When I was a senior in high school, the second half of my senior high school year, every Friday afternoon, I would leave school at lunchtime after my morning classes. Every single Friday afternoon that second semester, go to the Nessville Tavern. I was 17 years old at the time. The drinking age in Pennsylvania was 21. I could get served on a Friday afternoon, and I'd sit there and have 2 or 3 beers before I drive over to York. I was working for my cousin on weekends. He had horses. I'll never forget that. I got served as a 17-year-old, and I know doesn't matter what I look like, bottom line is I got served. We used to go there on weekends. We had a guy growing up, he was probably 17, 18, a couple years older than we were, but he looked older, and he could get served, and that's how we'd get our beer. Got out of high school, immediately left home, couldn't wait to get out of Lancaster, went to work at the racetrack for about 8, 9 years. Kevin will certainly know what I'm talking about here. That's when I became a daily drinker. I became a daily drinker at the age of 17. A typical day was getting up at 3:30 in the morning, going to feed, and depending on when it got light out, the racetrack opened at 5:30 or 6, and we'd start galloping horses, and if we didn't race that night or during the day was basically over at lunchtime. Noontime we'd feed and do up, and the only thing I had to do was come back and feed in the afternoon. And what everyone did was just go to the bars after we got done working in the morning, after we got done doing up and feeding at lunchtime, and that became a daily thing. I was young, was hanging out with an older crowd. Again, that's when my drinking really started to take off. As I look back now, I drank alcoholically from that very beginning. I drank for one, just like it says in the doctor's opinion. I love the effect produced by alcohol, and that's why I drank. That's why I drank, and I drank alcoholically from the very beginning, from that time on. Worked at the racetrack for 8 or 9 years. Got tired of that, and lived on the backside, Kevin, and I was a bum. I was a bum for 8 or 9 years, basically. Just drink all day and gamble my money away. Every week I'd have to borrow money from my boss just to get through the next payday. From there, I moved back to Harrisburg and went to working for a construction company. I worked on a pavement crew for a number of years. I actually enjoyed that. It was hard work, but I loved working on the pavement crew. I loved the smell of asphalt. I don't know why. I still do to this day. If I'm going down the road and I see Riley paving out there, I'll pull over just to smell it. I do. I love the smell of blacktop. I always have. And I know, I worked on that paving crew for a number of years. We used to, living out in Pennsylvania, obviously the winters were severe, and a lot of us got laid off over the winter from that construction job. And one winter I was asked, used to hang out at the sports bar there in Hershey, and they needed a bartender. So I started tending bar part-time. That became sort of a livelihood for the next, I don't know, probably 15 years on and off. I can promise you my drinking escalated then. It really escalated. I loved bar rooms. When I was drinking, I loved hanging out in bar rooms. That's where I did my drinking. I didn't drink at home. I drank in bar rooms. I loved the atmosphere. And this is a sports bar. I really enjoyed it. Really loved the place. Played softball there. We had a softball team. We were pretty good. So it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with my drinking. I need to tell you that. I bet 99% of the time, my drinking, they were good times. They were good times. Probably different than a lot of stories you hear up here, but I enjoyed my drinking. About that maybe 1%. The only time it was bad were those hangovers the next morning, and I got incredible bad hangovers. I just always did. But I had a good time drinking my whole drinking career, I guess you could say. But during those next few years attending bar, and then I moved down here in 1986, moved here permanently. I first came down here in 73 when I got out of high school, but I moved down here permanently in 1986. Worked at a few bars around town here. Started out working at the Jefferson. Great place. God, I loved working there. We had bands on weekends. It was a lot of the horse people came in. It was just a fun place. It was a fun place. Then worked at Finch's and Neville's, and they were also my watering holes too. Another substance came into play during those maybe 15 years attending bar. This is the only thing I'll say about the drugs. What's been my experience when I got sober is when I treated my alcoholism one day at a time, that also took care of my drug problem. That's been my experience with the drugs. I'm grateful for that. The 3 or 4 different jobs I had tending bar, I worked for, I had a boss, and my boss was also one of my best friends. And drinking was, that was part of the deal when you're back there. That was part of the deal, was to be drinking while you were working. And obviously I carried that to excess some nights, but I never got in any trouble for it. But one of the main thing, what I'm trying to express here is that they were good friends, they were my boss, and I stole a lot of money from those guys while I was tending bar, a lot of money. I never considered myself a thief. I don't consider myself a thief today, but I was sure a thief back then. And I can sit here and blame it on my drinking. It had nothing to do with my drinking. It probably had a little something to do with it, but that's something I'm not proud of. And I've been able to make amends to all 4 of those guys. I just recently made one last year, 14 years, 13 years later. Just took a long time to get the courage up to do that. I was scared to do it, and I just didn't have the courage to go to him, because he's still a good friend today. But I was able to do that, and boy, you talk about a relief. Amazing, the relief I finally had from carrying that around for 13 years. I didn't see him as much. I'd see him at the post office every once in a while, at the grocery store. Before, when I saw him, let me tell you what, you talk about wanting to go on the other side of the store or the other side of the street to walk. I'm just grateful I was able to finally get that done last year. So anyway, the drinking's really getting serious now. Started my own little business here in about, 89, 90, sort of part-time, little fencing business, and did that while I was tending bar for a few years. And got married here in 1995 to the same woman I'm married to today. And when I first met Mary Ann, she didn't drink. And I just thought that was a little odd, but she told me she went to she was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. She had been sober, I think 11 years at that time. But she quit going to the meetings when we started dating. didn't drink, didn't drink or use, but have stayed sober there for a number of years. And we used to, I guess in like '97, we started going to the Caribbean every year for a week's vacation. I'd started doing that back in the early '90s with some friends that I tended to bar with. We went to St. Martin and St. Kitts and Nevis and some neat places. And Marianne and I went down there that one time, and we, my deal when I'm on vacation there is get something in the stomach first thing, load up the car about 8:30, 9 o'clock, head to the beach, stop at the little chicken and rib place, get a case of the little 7-ounce Heinekens, and that was a start. That was a start to my day. Those little 7-ounce Heineken pony bottles, I loved them. And this one day, when I pulled in there, I went to get out of the car, and she said, "Get me a 6-pack of Miller Lite." And I thought to myself, yes. I really did. And that began a period for her of 2 years for us of a really difficult time in our marriage. I'd say this if she were here tonight, but she was a bad drunk. She was a lot worse than I was. I can tell you. She could not hold her liquor at all. But that just began a really difficult time. And I think about that, and I think about when she got sober again in '99. I'll share that in a minute. I think of how my drinking hurt her. How, and I never realized it. We don't realize it when we're hurting. Obviously, we hurt the ones closest to us the most, and I never realized how my drinking hurt her. And she couldn't go on anymore without being part of our marriage. She felt she had to drink again. Now, she picked up that drink, but I certainly feel responsible for doing that because she couldn't fit into my way of life sober, the way I drank. And my drinking had gotten pretty bad by this time. And that began a period of 2 years. And in 1999, she got sober again for the last time. Luckily, she was only out there for 2 years. But she was down, and she goes down to Florida every year with the horses for a couple months. And she was down there. She took our 2 dogs along this one time. And she came home drunk one night and forgot about them. And they were gone for a week. Down in West Palm Beach. They had crossed 2 6-lane highways, wound up in some backyard, dug under a fence and killed the people's cat. And the only reason, just you talk about God working in our lives, there's a gal that worked for Brian Lenahan who has a farm here in Southern Pines. A gal that worked for him happened to be renting the house right beside this house where the dogs were, and recognized the dogs and called Marianne and said, I think I found your 2 dogs. And of course she had flyers up everywhere and all that. But anyway, to make the long story short, she got sober after that. That was her last debacle, I guess you could call. I went down to visit her later that winter. I flew down for a quick weekend. She took me to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. A good friend of hers was speaking. It was a 6:30 meeting early in the morning before the horse show started. And she took me to that meeting, first meeting I've ever been to. And I know, I know to this day she took me there hoping that I would hear something at that meeting that may hit home about my drinking. I obviously did not, because at 9 o'clock on the way back to the horse show grounds, I stopped and got my 12-pack for the day because I was on vacation. When I'm on vacation, I just drink a little bit more than I do when I'm at home. So I didn't hear any kind of message that was given that first AA meeting I went to. That next winter, she was down there. Well, that particular winter, she didn't come home for about a month when she could have come home because my drinking had gotten so bad. And when I talked to her on the phone, by the grace of God, I never physically abused Marianne, but boy, I sure mentally abused her. And apparently I said stuff on the phone that I don't remember. One of the things I tried to... I drank a lot, and I mean a lot by I could consume a lot. I never tried to control my drinking, but I tried to control the way I acted when I was around people. I made a huge effort to not let anyone know how bad my drinking was. And I made a huge effort at my whole life. That really concerned me up to the day I quit, was to not let people know how much I drank. And the last 2 years, that went out the window, I can promise you that. But that last winter, I can remember the winter of 2000. That's when we had the 20 inches of snow, and I'm home by myself. No liquor, no white stuff, no nothing for like 5 days, because I can't get out of my driveway. I had a four-wheel drive truck. Four-wheel drive was broke. You talk about a hurting puppy. It was bad. By now, my drinking, I started drinking at work. Started drinking earlier and earlier. I was self-employed, so I tried to get away with that. And I guess for the most part, I did for 99% or 95% of the time. But those last 2 years, I can remember, or not remember, coming home and you know, I'd start out with the 2 6-packs every day, and when I come home, I'd switch to liquor, and that's when it got bad. And I'd pass out every single night. And this is what I was putting my wife through. You know, here she is trying to stay sober, and I'm just, my drinking's out of control. Basically, what happened. And she came home from Florida and we, I'll never forget. It was a Saturday morning, and we were sitting out on the porch having our coffee and having a cigarette, and she was in tears, and she said, "I can't go on like this anymore." She said, "You've got to do something about your drinking." She said, "I can't live like this anymore." And that's the first time that anyone had ever approached me about my drinking in my whole life. And so we did a lot of crying, obviously. And, sorry, Nori, I'm trying to keep it together here. I might be the only one that cries as much as Nori does, but gets as emotional as Nori does. But it's thinking back on it, it's gosh, I just how wicked I was. So we made a phone call to a good friend who is also my physician, and he suggested that he said, "There's a meeting at the First Baptist Church on Monday night at 8 o'clock, and I think you should go." So I thought, I don't know, I guess I thought about that weekend. Anyway, Monday, October the 1st, I pulled up here and drove around the block 3 or 4 times. I had a vodka. I had to be half pie-eyed to walk in that door downstairs. I had to be half pie-eyed, and I was. And I was scared to death, but I came into that meeting for my first real meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like I said, I don't remember anything that happened other than when I went to sneak out the door, Waylon and Steve corralled me. And like I said, for some reason I came back on Thursday, and to this day I'm not sure why, but and I kept coming back, but I kept drinking. I still kept drinking. I get 3 days and I drink, and I go a week and I drink, and I go 3 days and I drink, and this cycle just went on for months and months. And anyone that still drinks and shows up at these meetings knows what I'm talking about. I think just the mental. It was just kicking my butt. It was just, the drinking wasn't fun anymore. The drinking had quit working. The alcohol quit working is what happened. And I was obviously hearing some kind of message here. I sure didn't know what it was at the time. But, I'm just grateful. I kept coming back, and I found a couple other meetings. I went to a lot of meetings early on. I found a Friday night meeting at the Episcopal Church that I loved. I don't know why, because there was a lot of sobriety there, but I just, I felt comfortable at that meeting for some reason. I always felt comfortable at that meeting. And I went to VAS. I enjoyed the VAS meeting. I started going up to VAS every Wednesday night. But I kept drinking. I wasn't ready to quit drinking. That's the bottom line. I think, just 3 days and I drink again. And a lot of, have picked up an awful lot of white chips here. But I always think, I think of downstairs in those early days. And I remember Wallace always sat in the front row right against the wall. And R.G. Smith would sit right beside him. And I remember one night walking up there again to pick up another white chip, and I heard R.G. in that real deep voice, There he goes again. I can just hear RG saying that. I can just hear that today in that real deep voice of his. And that's just the way it was for a long, long time. I just, I couldn't quit drinking. After, I think of a time, one quick little story here, was that Friday night meeting I liked over there at Episcopal. One guy, Dick, he and his wife moved up to Fairfax, now Virginia, but he asked me to lead the discussion the next Friday night. And I was all excited. I went home and I got my yellow pad out, my legal pad, and started writing all this stuff down that I was going to share leading that discussion. And I don't know why, because I didn't call my sponsor very often, but I called him and told him I was leading this discussion that next Friday night. And he immediately told me, he said, "No, you're not. You're going to call him up and tell him you're not leading that discussion." So I just, I picked the phone up and I called Dick and I said, "My sponsor said, I'm sorry, my sponsor said I can't lead the discussion next Friday night." He said, "Why not?" Well, he said I hadn't been sober long enough. He said, "Well, how long have you been sober?" And I said, 5 days. But I was still willing to lead. And you know what that discussion was going to be on? It was going to be on resentment, because I had a resentment against him. It really was. But, that's just the way, So anyway, you know what? It finally got to the point where I finally, after 7-8 months, I wanted to quit drinking. And I couldn't. I wanted to quit. I was so messed up and so insane mentally. I wanted to quit and I couldn't. So it was suggested I go away to treatment. I'll never. April the 2nd of the year 2001, Reeves and Steve took me down to Samaritan Colony. The worst 28 days of my life. I can sit here and honestly say that. Worst 28 days of my life. I thought my life was over. Before I went down there, I had a whole lot of work lined up. I had about 2 months worth of work lined up, and my sponsor suggested I go to all those people and tell them what I was about to do. And you talk about fear. Fear runs a lot of my life today, but I can promise you that was, I was scared. Being self-employed, I was scared to death to go to those people and tell them that I had a drinking problem and I was going away to treatment for 28 days. But I did that. And every single one of those people, all 5 of them, wholeheartedly supported what I was doing. And they were there for me when I got out. That work was still there. I was worried about losing my business and losing all that work, and they were all there for me. They were just incredibly supportive, and I'm grateful this day for that. Went down there for 28 days, did the best I could. Came back here Monday, April the 30th, and picked up, downstairs. I picked up a 30-day chip for the first time. I was so proud of that. They joke today if we're ever low on white chips for me to bring some of mine in from home, because I had a lot of them. But I picked up a 30-day chip, and I was proud of it. I was home out of treatment for 2 weeks, driving out Youngs Road, where I worked all the time, in a little convenience store where I used to go buy my beer. I was just going to stop in there, I think, for a pack of cigarettes or a sandwich or something, and I walked out with a 12-pack 2 weeks out of treatment. Same thing happened 2 weeks later. I got drunk twice the first 30 days I was out of treatment. I didn't want to drink. I didn't know how not to drink. And we talk about this all the time and I believe getting sober is all about following directions. I swear I believe it's all about following directions. And I hadn't been following any directions at all. I never called my sponsor. I was the type that called my sponsor after I drank. I'd get to whining and crying, and then I'd call him, and he didn't want to talk to me then, but that's what I did. That's when I called my sponsor. He said, "Did you say a prayer?" Of course I didn't pray. Just all the little things I was suggested that I do, I didn't do. The only thing I did that I continued to do was I continued to go to meetings, and I'm grateful for that today. There's a lot of times I didn't want to come. I'll tell you, I wanted to hang it up and pack it in and quit this AA stuff so many times. But that Sunday afternoon, May the 30th, Daniel and Steve came over that Sunday afternoon, what I hope to be the last time anyone has to 12-step me. And I don't know what changed. But something changed in here. Something changed up here. And I started not drinking one day at a time. God, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was just so difficult. And all I thought about every day was drinking, not drinking, drinking, not drinking. And I just wanted to drink so bad. You know, I depended on liquor for, obviously my whole first 46 years of life. I didn't do anything without a drink between my legs. I couldn't go to the post office. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere without a beer or a cocktail between my legs. And to take that away was, I didn't know how to live without it. I did not know how to live without it. One of the things that scared me was, you know, we try to do this thing one day at a time, but the bottom line is, you don't want me to ever drink again. You know, that's what it's all about. And that was a real scary thought. I didn't know, again, I just didn't know how I was going to live without liquor. But I kept coming back to these meetings for the grace of God. I'm just so grateful I did. I don't know why, because I didn't want to come. And it was just difficult. For 2 years, I struggled for 2 years. Of wanting to drink and not wanting to drink. And it was just, I don't know how else to say, it was just a difficult time. But I didn't drink one day at a time, and I kept coming to the meetings. And you know, I don't know what changed, or you know, I can't remember one specific day or one. One of the things I've always done since I got sober, I have yet to miss a day since May the 30th of 2001 for getting on my knees in the morning asking for help. That's one of the suggestions I started doing, was asking God for help every single morning. I have not missed a day since that. I know that for a fact. I'm scared not to do it. I'm scared not to do it today. You know, I still do a lot of readings every morning that I was taught to do down at Samaritan Colony. I asked for help today. Sometimes I got to be hurting. Sometimes I got to be hurting pretty bad before I'll ask for help. That's, I don't know, that's hard-headed, whatever you want to call it. But I don't ask for help as often as I could. You know, growing up, I had always believed in God. Had always been raised to believe in a God. Mine's a God in heaven. That's a God that I understand today and what I believe in today. And I was always scared of developing that relationship with God when I was younger. And even through all my drinking years, I had always still believed in God. I never used Him in any way whatsoever. But I never lost that belief in a God or a higher power. One of the blessings of this program is I've learned how to seek Him every day. You know, I love what it says at the end of How It Works that we read here every night is that God could and would if He were sought. And if I seek Him every day, that's what I got to do. I got to seek Him every day. You know, He's not going to knock on the door. Hey, Brad, you know, you didn't pray this morning. You know, don't you need some help? I mean, I've got to reach out and seek that help every day. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Not try to figure it out, but it's been a process. It's been a process. And it'll be a process as long as I live. I know that. You know, one of the things that I was able after I got sober, I was able, my dad, bless his heart, I didn't have any relationship with him until my mother passed away, and that's about, I was drunk when she passed away, but when I got sober, he started coming, even before I got sober, he would drive down here once a month from Pennsylvania. He was in his 80s, loved to drive. He was a car salesman, he loved to drive. He'd drive down here once a month and spend a weekend or spend a day. And near the last couple of years of his life, unfortunately, up until he was 86, we had to put him in a nursing home up there. And my sister lived overseas, and my brother lived out in the West Coast, so I was the closest, 10 hours away. But what I did, I sort of made a commitment. I started going up driving up to Pennsylvania one weekend a month to be with my dad in that nursing home. And I was able to make amends to him for all the years of not being a son, the son that I should have been. I'm really grateful I had the opportunity to do that. And I know he appreciated that last 2 years too, because he was alone and, in that nursing home. So I'm really grateful I had the opportunity, the experience to be able to do that those last 2 years till he passed away. He even, when I was in treatment, my dad wrote me a letter every single day. I got 28 letters from my dad while I was in treatment. Every single day I got a letter from him. It wasn't long, might have just been a short little note, but he told me he loved me, that it was going to be okay. And my dad, by this time, he had started to drink just a little beer. Like, he'd buy a 6-pack of beer, would last him 6 weeks. I mean, he'd drink 1 or 2 beers on a Saturday afternoon, listen to the Phillies ball game. And when I got sober, he quit that. I mean, he quit doing that for me. That's a miracle. Because he was being supportive. And again, he never drank more than 1 or 2 at a time, but he quit drinking that beer just when I come up to visit him, which is pretty neat, I thought. So anyway. One of the things, my relationship with my wife today, God, it grows every day. It grows every single day. It's an absolute miracle. I'm just so grateful. She supported me so much when I was trying to get sober here. And like I say, as I shared earlier, I put her through hell with my drinking, and not knowing, as an active alcoholic, not knowing what I was doing to her and what we do to the people we love and the people closest to us. I'm just so grateful for her support, and our relationship's better than it's ever been, and I'm just really thankful for that. And it's a lot of it's because of this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I hope I'm a better husband today than I was. I had to learn how to be a son. I had to learn how to be a husband. I had to learn how to be a friend. I had to learn all this stuff when I got sober, because I didn't know how to do it sober. I had never done it. I'd done it drunk my whole life, and I didn't know how to live sober. And again, it's because of this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm grateful today. My friend Roger could have sent me, that Monday, October the 1st, he sent me to the primary purpose group here at the First Baptist Church. He could have sent me to Vass or to Aberdeen. If he had sent me to Vass, that would have been my home group. Had he sent me to Aberdeen, that probably would have been my home group. Or Episcopal, that would have been my home group. He sent me here. I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm extremely grateful to be part of this home group. I've been lucky. I didn't like it early on, but my sponsor got me in the service right off the bat. He used to take me up to Carthage to the jail. My God, I hated to hear that door slam behind me. I mean, I hated going up there. It started there, and then he started taking me to detox, and then we started going down to Samaritan Colony, which I've just been so fortunate to be. There's a group of us that go down there every other Friday night. I'm so grateful to have that opportunity to be able to do that, to go down and share with the guys, that are. God, I just feel like I was sitting in that chair last week, and to be able to share with them and give them a little bit of hope and let them know that there's a solution, because that's what this deal is all about, is to let people that are struggling know that there's some hope and that we have a solution here, and a solution that works. I'm just really grateful for that. Samaritan Colony has been a real blessing in my life. I've been fortunate enough to get involved in a lot of ways down there, and I'm just have developed so many good friendships down there through that place. And this home group's been a huge part of my sobriety. There's a lot of people in here that. It still amazes me when I say May the 30th, 2001. I can promise you no one in here saw that coming. That's those first few months and just the struggles that I had. But I think I had to struggle. I don't know. never know. But had sobriety come easy to me, maybe I don't know if I'd be drunk today or sober today. It doesn't matter. But I think I had to struggle the way I did to have the life I have today. I don't know what tomorrow or next week or next month or next year is going to bring. I may drink next week or next month. I don't know that. I'm pretty damn certain I'm not going to drink today. And that process of one day at a time, I didn't like that little phrase when I first came in here. I'll tell you, I didn't like the sound of that, because the bottom line is you're talking about never drinking. But I don't know what next week's going to bring or next month. I may drink. I'm damn certain I'm not going to drink today because of this program. Life's difficult sometimes, and I've been struggling a little lately with a lot of fear. Just because I quit drinking doesn't mean life's a bowl of cherries. It has not been. And I don't struggle every day, but there are times I struggle with. I've always been a worrier and worrying about the future. It's all about the future, what tomorrow is going to bring. And for some reason right now, the last couple months, I've been struggling with that. I don't talk to my sponsor as often as I should. When I got hurting bad enough about a month ago, I called him up, and we've gotten together and done some work. But I don't know why that is. I got to be hurting pretty bad before I reach out for help. But I know this too shall pass. As long as I don't pick up a drink today, everything's going to be okay. Really grateful for this program of Alcoholics Anonymous and what it's done for my life. And I'll tell you, if anyone, I know there's people out here struggling to quit drinking. Keep coming back if you're struggling. If it's been days or weeks or months or years, some people have been struggling for years. Keep coming back until that miracle happens, because it doesn't happen out there. It happens in here in the room of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm just grateful I stuck around until that miracle happened in my life. So, thanks for sharing.